Homelessness is a widespread problem that is plaguing communities all throughout the United States, and Chicago, Illinois is not an exception to this rule. Chicago, also known as the Windy City, is renowned for its thriving culture, beautiful architecture, and diverse population. On the other hand, it continues to struggle with difficulties in addressing the predicament of its homeless people. In this piece, we will investigate the problem of homelessness in Chicago and examine its many elements, including the factors that contribute to it, the demographics of those affected, the services that are currently offered, and the possible remedies. Context and reasons. Homelessness is a multifaceted problem with a wide range of causes, and the situation in Chicago is not unlike to other similar situations. The homelessness situation in the city is exacerbated by factors including economic hardship, a dearth of homes at accessible prices, mental health issues, substance misuse, and domestic violence, as well as systemic injustices. To find a solution to this complex issue, we need to employ methods that are both comprehensive and ongoing. The scope of homelessness in Chicago. It can be difficult to get an accurate count of the number of people who are homeless in Chicago for a number of reasons. These factors include the transitory nature of homelessness, the scarcity of resources, and the reluctance of some persons to seek aid. There were an estimated 86,324 people living on the streets of Chicago on a single night in January 2020, according to the annual Homeless Assessment Report that was issued by the United States Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD. This figure was derived from data collected during the month of January 2020. Homelessness is a problem that does not discriminate based on age, gender, or ethnicity. It affects people of all of these categories. However, certain categories are harmed to a much greater extent than others. Racial inequalities are blatantly obvious in Chicago, where a sizable percentage of the city's homeless population is composed of people of African American descent. Roughly 70% of Chicago's homeless population identifies as Black or African American, followed by 15% who call themselves white and 12% who call themselves Hispanic or Latino. There are a variety of organizations, shelters, and government projects in Chicago that are dedicated to tackling homelessness and providing necessary services. These organizations and efforts are available to anyone in need. The city has made significant investments in outreach programs, emergency shelters, transitional housing, and supportive services with the goal of assisting people and families on their journey towards stability. When it comes to providing direct assistance, advocacy, and social support, organizations like the Night Ministry, Salvation Army, and Chicago Coalition for the Homeless all play important roles in the community. In spite of the efforts of these organizations and the local administration, there are still a number of obstacles to be overcome in order to successfully combat homelessness in Chicago. The lack of affordable housing options is a key obstacle that contributes to a vicious cycle of homelessness and makes the problem even more difficult to solve. Inadequate mental health services and the lack of specialized resources for certain vulnerable populations, such as homeless veterans and LGBTQ+ individuals, represent substantial gaps in the support system. Furthermore, the absence of targeted resources for specific vulnerable populations, such as homeless veterans and LGBTQ+ individuals. Programs and policies of the government. The City of Chicago understands the critical nature of addressing the issue of homelessness and as a result has enacted a number of different programs and policies to address the problem. These include attempts to improve the availability of affordable housing, strengthening the Continuum of Care program, providing subsidies and vouchers, and enhancing programs focusing on job, education, and rehabilitation. In addition, there are efforts to increase the availability of cheap housing. However, the magnitude of the issue necessitates continual investments as well as complete coordination among the many different parties involved. Collaborative solutions and future prospects. Finding a way to deal with the issue of homelessness requires a concerted effort on the part of many people working together. The epidemic of homelessness in Chicago calls for a strategy that is both all-encompassing and multifaceted, involving not only government agencies but also community organizations, philanthropists, and the general public. It is of the utmost importance to concentrate on long-term solutions while at the same time offering urgent assistance through programs that provide affordable housing, economic opportunities, access to mental health care, and supportive services that are adapted to fit the particular need of each individual. The problem of homelessness is not exclusive to Chicago, Illinois. Rather, it is a problem that affects the entire country. The city has a significant problem with people living on the streets, the vast majority of whom are people of African American descent who are struggling economically and are victims of structural discrimination. Despite the fact that Chicago has achieved significant progress in terms of the provision of support services and the implementation of legislation, numerous obstacles and gaps still exist. To effectively combat homelessness in the Windy City and beyond, continued collaborative efforts, increasing investments in affordable housing, enhanced accessibility to mental health care, and tailored interventions are essential.